Part 81. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 801. Hearing the roar of the car, Zhang Xiu snorted and walked back. In fact, even if he didn't hear the sound of the car, Zhang Xiu couldn't continue to do anything. Because if they fight again, people will die, and judging from Wang Feng's intention, he doesn't want these guys to die just yet. Now, Zhang Xiu is no longer as casual with Wang Feng as before. One is because Wang Feng is getting stronger and stronger, and he has gradually gained the aura of a king. Especially after awakening the function of his hair and integrating with the Xianyuan sword, Wang Feng, who has long flowing hair, is usually fine, but once he puts on a straight face, even guys like Tang Haoshan and Lu Feng are actually a little afraid of him. Another reason is naturally that Zhang Xiu has a lover now, so he needs to be more restrained. Lu Wanting also returned to Wang Feng at this time, quietly waiting for the arrival of the vehicles. But Wang Feng frowned at this time, and Xinzhou felt a little strange. Before the convoy approached, Wang Feng had already seen them on the winding road on the mountainside. These were 6 police cars, and Wang Feng, who had a clairvoyance, could easily see that Gao's Hixing did not exist among these 6 cars. At this time, Wang Feng still didn't react, thinking that Gao's Hixing would be arriving soon. But now there wasn't even a plane in the sky, so it was naturally impossible for Gao's Hixing to appear in front of him soon. But Wang Feng didn't pay too much attention. Anyway, he just said hello to Gao's Hixing. As for the Mulia cottage, this kind of approach touched his bottom line. Regardless of whether Gao's Hixing agreed or not, today Wang Feng planned to erase this cottage from this mountain. Such a vicious and cruel race should not exist in such a beautiful place. The police cars soon arrived in front of Wang Feng and the others, and then a group of police officers got out of the cars. As soon as these policemen got out of the car, Brother, who suddenly seemed to have seen it, rushed towards him and cried loudly. "Birds! Chicken 5! What a gangster!" Lu Hang beats him up. "The 5 people are wasting their trust, and they will be blind if they don't wash their waists. Chi Go, step on Men Hang to hook up, talk about it? The 5 people are fine dogs. It's so painful to step on him. Tiger." The leading police officer looked at Zhu Sihu, frowned, and asked a little uncertainly. Bet low, bet low. May 4th axe. Zhu Sihu nodded repeatedly. At this time, Brother Tiger could no longer see his original appearance. His face was beaten like a pig's head. Even the scorpion tail around his eyes now looked much thicker than the scorpion's body. And since all his teeth were basically missing and his face was swollen, he spoke like this, which made Wang Feng and the others think that this guy was complaining in dialect again. The leading police officer confirmed Zhu Zihu's identity. After seeing his appearance, he tried hard to recall what he had said before, and finally figured out that the string of words that Zhu Zihu said when he saw him were, "Cousin! Save me! These guys were walking on the mountain road. We were kind and asked them if they needed help, but they came up and beat us. Look, we were all beaten by them." And the latter sentence is naturally, "Yes, yes. I am Huzi." The police officer couldn't help but be a little surprised. He knew Huzi's skills very well. How could he be beaten like this? And there are so many people there? But the police officer didn't know that Brother Tiger was not only beaten like this, but also beaten by a girl. And Brother who doesn't have any complaints about Lu Wanting in his heart now, but is quite grateful. Fortunately, Lu Wanting was the first to attack him, and she slapped him so hard that he was stunned. Although it was time for some physical pain, the blow to the head was almost twice as much as before, and basically all the teeth were gone. But at least he is much stronger than those guys who were punished by Zhang Xiu. Wang Feng and the others were embarrassed to ask, so they didn't know clearly yet, but Brother who now understood quite well. Those guys who were taught a lesson by Zhang Xiu not only had their limbs cut off and there was no possibility of them being reattached, but even the symbols of men were treated the same way. Because he had just heard clearly the clear sound coming from one of his brother's crotch after Zhang Xiu's knee bumped him. That kind of sound is definitely the scariest sound in the world for a man, bar none. Especially when this sound comes from oneself. When he saw these policemen, he couldn't help but see a savior. Although he was also surprised that he didn't call the police. How did they come? Not to mention that Wang Feng and the others were the winners, they probably wouldn't call the police. Even if they thought about it, all wireless signals would be strongly interfered with due to the magnetism here. Even if you want to fight, you can't get through. Could it be that the people in the cottage realized that they had encountered a hard idea, so they called them over through wired communication? But this is unlikely. The first is that the people in the mountain village cannot see what is happening here, and the other is that if the people in the mountain village discover what is going on here, then they would not choose to call the police, but would directly send someone to support them. But no matter why these police came, in short, he should be saved. No matter how awesome these four people are, do they still dare to confront the police? Seeing that they seemed to know each other, Wang Feng frowned, and then a smile couldn't help but twitch at the corner of his mouth. It seemed that another fish had taken the bait. However, the policeman who is now called cousin by brother who is in a bit of a dilemma at this time. His name is Zhu Silong, and he is the chief of the police station here in Duotian Mountain. Of course, he did not come here to patrol the mountain with nothing to do this time. Instead, his boss, the police inspector of the Republic of Kali, called them directly, saying that something happened here and asking them to handle it. He also specifically explained that the matter was caused by the head of their country, the ruler. Mr. Pu Yishan, the official, personally ordered them to deal with justice. On the way here, Zhu Silong kept wondering, what happened here? Moreover, how to deal with it impartially. Generally speaking, as public officials like them, they all know that once the superiors solemnly say that they are required to handle it impartially, it means that among these people, there are guys with very strong connections, and they are asked to take care of it. But the problem is that the police inspector did not say at all which people are the ones with whom the relationship is difficult, and to what extent should he take care of them. But the moment he got out of the car, he understood that it was obviously not his cousin Josehu who needed to be taken care of. So, the people the police inspector told them to deal with impartially were naturally those four seemingly ordinary guys. At this moment, Zhu Silong felt embarrassed, and he had already seen everything in the field. The people in his village were either beaten beyond recognition and could not be recognized at all, or they simply lay on the ground, motionless. Judging from their twisted limbs, it was obvious that they had been beaten to a disability. How much hatred is this? How could he be so cruel? Of course, Zhu Zilong knew very well what Josehu and the others were doing on the edge of this cliff. I think he himself had participated in it at the beginning, but later because the village asked him to be the chief of the police station below, he no longer participated in these things. But now it seems that the faces of the four people only have anger, but no expression of sadness. That means, none of their companions were thrown away by Josehu and the others, so why would they still act so cruelly? Of course Zhu Silong didn't know that Wang Feng had already reached the bottom of the cliff and knew everything here, so he was so angry. And now what Zhu Silong is thinking about is the dead capital and what should be done. If there were no Josehu and the others here, but two waves of outsiders, it would be easier to handle. Just pull them all back, then figure out which party needs to be taken care of, and then deal with it impartially. But now that Josehu and the others are involved, it will be difficult for Zhu Zilong. His current official position was only possible because of his connections in the village. And among the people he brought, more than half were members of the Mulia tribe. It would definitely be impossible to help Wang Feng and the others deal with Josehu and the others now. Not to mention that the guys from the Mulia tribe among his subordinates would not agree. I am afraid that he will be recalled by the Mulia tribe afterwards and be treated as a traitor. Among the Mulia tribe, the fate of traitors is quite miserable, even 100 times more miserable than those who were thrown into the valley. The punishment that the guy with the thick wooden stick mentioned before is the way the Mulia tribe treats the guy who cheats and cheats. Huza. Are these the 4 of them? Jozalong asked Jozahu softly. In fact, after seeing the miserable situation of Jozahu and those on his side, the policeman from the Mulia tribe who came with Jozalong had long wanted to go up and deal with Wang Feng and the others. However, he was stopped by Zhu Silong. He wanted to find out what was going on first, and then consider how to deal with it. Yeah. Bird grid. If you are bored, you can do whatever you want in the 14 pots. If you are tired of gambling, you will be harmed. Okay. I get it. Seeing that Zhu Sihu wanted to continue talking, Zhu Silong quickly stopped him. It was so hard to listen to him. It takes a long time to guess. Looking back at Wang Feng and the 4 of them, Zhu Silong thought for a while, winked at the people behind him, and then walked towards Wang Feng and the others. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 802. Seeing Zhu Zilong coming towards him, Wang Feng did not make any move, but just stood there quietly waiting. Hello, sir. Zhu Zilong saluted Wang Feng first, and said politely. I am Zhu Zilong, the chief of Duoshinshan police station, and I am ordered to come here to solve the emergency. Yeah. Wang Feng nodded, acting very cold. From Zhu Zilong's words, Wang Feng heard that the arrival of these policemen should be related to Gao's Hixing. But now it seems that this guy may not stand on which side. However, this is exactly what Wang Feng wants. It seems that these people in the Mulia village have done these outrageous things, which are also related to this umbrella. Just eradicate them together. Although Wang Feng's attitude was not good, Zhu Silong was not in the mood to care about it now. He turned his head to look at the small fighter plane still hovering on the side, looked at Wang Feng and asked. Is this yours? I picked it up. Wang Feng's answer made Zhu Silong stunned. Afterwards, Zhu Silong looked at the people lying on the side, and then looked at Wang Feng. These people were all done by you. That's right. Wang Feng admitted it very readily. Sir, wait a moment, I'm going to their side to record their statements. Zhu Silong said, and then waved to the police he brought with him. Come here and record their statements. Hearing Zhu Silong's words, the police quickly took out some first aid kits from the car, and then ran to the people in the Mulia village. After all, these people are from the Mulia village, so basically they know each other. Seeing their companions injured, how could they stand idly by? Seeing that they were recording confessions in name but actually treating those people, Wang Feng just sneered and did not intervene. He decided to wait for a while. If Gao's Hixing didn't come after a while, he would do it himself. In the process of treating those people, Zhu Silong and his friends finally learned the details of the incident from the guys whose limbs were broken. After knowing that Wang Feng jumped off the cliff, not only did he not die, but he also drove a fighter plane out, Zhu Silong's eyes shot out a trace of murderous intent. Although he didn't know why Wang Feng didn't fall to death, at least Zhu Silong could be sure that Wang Feng should have known the situation below. In other words, what they had done in the Mulia village for so many years had been exposed to Wang Feng. In this way, Wang Feng must not be left alive. As for the small fighter plane, Zhu Silong believed that Wang Feng got it at the bottom of the cliff. After all, no one had ever gone down to the bottom of this cliff. Now Zhu Silong felt a little annoyed. If he had known that there was a fighter plane below, they would have gone all the way down no matter how difficult it was. This is a fighter plane that can fly within the magnetic field of Duoshan Mountain. Once they get it, Mulia village will be truly fearless. Because the location of their village is easy to defend and difficult to attack, if they gain air superiority, they won't even have to be afraid of the country they are in. Although the Mulia tribe has always been autonomous, it only belongs to the Republic of Kali in name. They never pay taxes, and the successive governors of the Republic of Kali can only turn a blind eye and ignore them. Now Zhuzalong looks at the shape of the small fighter plane, which is obviously the same as the small fighter planes driven by those people in the images of the ancient human race they have seen. There is no doubt that this small fighter plane should have been staying in the valley below the cliff before. I don't know if this guy stepped on dog shit or something, but he is so lucky. After jumping off the cliff, he not only didn't die, but also got the fighter plane. However, this fighter plane will soon change its owner. In Zhuzalong's opinion, no matter how powerful Wang Feng and the other four are, they are definitely not the opponents of so many policemen. You know, they all carry guns. No matter how good you are, can you be faster than bullets? And this guy is also stupid. After the fighter plane came up, he didn't sit in the fighter plane to show off, but parked the fighter plane there, and people got off. Zhuzalong has confirmed that there are only 4 of them, so there is naturally no one in the small fighter plane now. When they are not paying attention, I will let other policemen shoot at them, and I will jump on the fighter plane in the chaos. Then the fighter plane will be theirs, right? Maybe. There is more than one fighter plane below. After getting this fighter plane, I will kill Wang Feng and the others, and then go down to sea. If I can find a few more fighter planes, it will definitely be the moment when their Mulia tribe is about to rise. As for the problem of not being able to fly a fighter plane, Zhuzalong simply ignored it. That guy probably didn't know how to fly a fighter plane before, but he just flew up here? Thinking about it this way, the operation of that fighter plane must be very simple, probably similar to driving a car. Anyway, no matter what, Wang Feng and the others can't survive. Otherwise, when the police inspectors come, once they know what the Mulia tribe has done over the years, they will definitely want to destroy them. Although it is easy to defend here, they will still be in great danger if the state machine gets angry. A bunch of missiles are enough to destroy their copycat. Even if the guidance of the missiles will not be accurate due to magnetism, if you put more missiles, there will always be a time when a blind cat encounters a dead mouse, right? The Republic of Kali had tolerated their existence before and ignored them. One reason was that they were at least superficially obedient. The other one, the Republic of Kali, and even the Free Alliance, do not want to destroy the beautiful mountains and rivers of Duotian Mountain. This can be regarded as a kind of rat-proof weapon, right? But once what happens under the cliff is exposed, I'm afraid this Tiandu mountain will not be enough to protect them. So whether it's for fighter planes or to protect the Mulia tribe, Zhuzalong wants to kill Wang Feng so that they will never be able to tell what happened under the cliff. As for the order given to him by the police inspector, just throw the bodies of Wang Feng and others off the cliff, then fly the fighter plane back to the village, and then say that you didn't meet anyone here. Without that piece of evidence, let alone the police inspector, even the consul Pu Yishan would not easily go to war against them. At most, he would only receive a small punishment. After solving this matter, he will definitely be greatly rewarded by the village. This small fighter plane alone is of extraordinary significance to the Mulia village. At that time, would Zhuzalong still take his current small official position seriously? Moreover, even if they change people, they have to replace them with someone from their own copycat, which is no different from sitting in this position themselves. Of course Zhuzalong didn't know that the person who asked him to come was not the police inspector, nor was he Park Yisheng, the consul of their Kali Republic. It's the person with the greatest power on this planet, the Supreme Speaker of the Freedom Alliance, Gao's Hixing. Moreover, Wang Feng has also passed on the scene under the cliff to Gao's Hixing, so what the Mulia tribe has done has been completely exposed. Even if Wang Feng is killed, the catastrophe for their Mulia village will still come. Therefore, no matter what decision Zhu Silong makes, there will be no change in the outcome of their Mulia village. Because Wang Feng has now decided to wipe out their Mulia village from Duotian Mountain. At most, the children should be kept, and they would not be exterminated, but they must also be transferred to the outside world and mixed with other races. They will not be allowed to stay in Duotian Mountain, a place where they have survived for who knows how many generations. Brothers, listen carefully. These 4 people must not be left here. Taking advantage of the opportunity of recording a confession, Zhu Silong summoned all the police officers he brought together and whispered. You will be ready for battle in a moment. Listen to my command. When I say, Duo Tianshan Mountain God, you will draw your guns together and shoot at the 4 people. Remember, only those who die must not live of head. Why do you want to kill them? I think it's better to take them back. After hearing what Zhu Silong said, a policeman couldn't help but frowned and asked. Among the people brought by Zhu Silong, only more than half were members of the Mulia tribe. The other police officers had nothing to do with the Mulia tribe. They also knew that the seriously injured people on the ground were all members of Zhu Silong's tribe, and even some of his relatives. Therefore, Zhu Silong's order was misunderstood by these policemen as an attempt to avenge private revenge. The police inspector's call was made directly to Zhu Silong's office. Therefore, only Zhu Silong knew about the police inspector's order. The others were only called by Zhu Silong to perform their tasks. They only discovered this matter when they got here, and the others didn't know about it at all. What? Do you think I want to avenge my personal revenge? Zhu Silong sneered and said. To tell you the truth, this order was not given by me, but by the police inspector. Remember what I said when we set off? What I said was, go on a mission with me. The inspector has an order. It was the police inspector who called me and personally gave the order to kill these 4 people. Otherwise, do you think I have the guts to kill just as I say? Don't worry. No matter what happens, the police inspector will be there to support you. We are just small people who carry out orders. The game at the top should not interfere with us. After hearing what Zhu Silong said, the other police officers were dubious, but because Zhu Silong had indeed said before that he would carry out the orders of the police inspector. Therefore, in their hearts, these non-Mulia policemen also tended to favor Zhu Silong. You don't have to carry out the task of the police inspector if you want, but when the police inspector arrives, don't put the responsibility on me. Zhu Silong looked at these policemen and said. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 803. Okay. A non-Mulia policeman gritted his teeth and said. I obey orders. With one person taking the lead, the rest will be much easier. Other policemen also expressed their willingness to obey Zhu Silong's orders. Anyway, Zhu Silong had already pointed out what he said just now. Although he said that the police inspector would take responsibility if there was any problem. But the meaning of the sentence is naturally to tell these policemen. To do this, I have a police inspector above me, and you have me above you. Anyway, if there is a problem, I will take responsibility. What are you worried about? With this promise, the other policemen naturally don't care. Anyway, since Wang Feng and others can beat people like this, they are probably not good birds. Will a good person kick a person's vitals into a meat paste? Especially when it is said that the one who did it is that very beautiful girl. When they were treating these people, of course they also saw their injuries. Even these policemen felt a little numb at this time and felt a chill in their crotch. The feelings of the injured are naturally even more needless to mention. Actually, it is useless to call them treatment. Although there are some medicines and bandages in the first aid kit, they are definitely powerless for such serious injuries. The best way now is to lift all these people into the car and send them to the hospital. Because there is no signal here, even the walkie-talkie in the police car has become a decoration, so calling an ambulance is definitely out of the question. But now Ju Silong does not want to do this immediately. Even if he wants to do it, he has to wait until Wang Feng and the others are all killed and the aftermath work here is done. Anyway, these people are not going to die now. It is the same whether they are sent earlier or later. At least, their thing is definitely beyond saving. In their current state, even if they are cured, they will still lie in bed for the rest of their lives, and they are not even qualified to be eunuchs. After all, to be a eunuch, you only need to cut off one limb. All 5 of their limbs are broken, and they are permanent. The whole person is completely useless. Seeing that everyone else agreed, Zhou Zilong nodded gently, and then whispered, "I'll go first, you all get ready and listen to my signal." Then, Zhou Zilong gently patted Zhou Zihu's shoulder, stood up, and walked towards Wang Feng. "Sir. Excuse me, did you find this fighter plane, down here?" "Yes." Wang Feng nodded. "Then, is this fighter plane down here? What else did you see?" "I don't know, I didn't look carefully, the scene down there was too scary, so I didn't look carefully, and I just happened to fall into the cockpit of this plane, so I drove it up directly." Wang Feng said lightly. He now found that he seemed to have some talent for lying. What he said was as true as the truth, and he almost believed it himself. However, after Zhou Zilong stopped Wang Feng's words, he frowned. He didn't believe Wang Feng's words completely. It seems that Wang Feng overestimated himself. But Zhou Zilong did not continue to ask. Anyway, no matter whether Wang Feng saw anything or not, they must die. Zhou Zilong had already made up his mind. Besides, he had just told those non-Mulia policemen that it was the order of the police inspector to kill Wang Feng and the other 4. It was impossible to change his mind now. "Sir, I need to get on this fighter plane to take a look, because I want to fully understand the situation at the scene to understand the truth of this incident," Zhou Zilong said, looking at Wang Feng. "Sir, you don't mind, do you?" "Of course not." Wang Feng shrugged his shoulders and said indifferently. "You are a policeman, representing the law. You can't wear this suit and do nothing, right?" "Of course. Thank you for your support for my work." Zhou Zilong was overjoyed, and then walked towards the small fighter plane. He didn't even think carefully about the implicit meaning of Wang Feng's words. However, when he arrived under the small fighter, Zhou Zilong was a little dumbfounded. Because Wang Feng hovered the small fighter at a height of 5 meters above the ground, he couldn't get up at all. This height, for Wang Feng and others, can easily jump up. But Zhou Zilong and others are ordinary people, how could they jump so high? "Sir. Why did you stop so high? Can you get up?" Zhou Zilong looked back at Wang Feng and asked with a strange face. "I can't get up. I was a little flustered at the time, so I jumped down directly, without thinking about how to get up later." Wang Feng pretended to be embarrassed and said. Looking at Wang Feng's serious acting, Lu Wanting and Zhang Xiu couldn't help but want to laugh. They had never seen this side of Wang Feng before. If the Mars trio were to do this kind of thing, they would be able to perform quite freely. But now Wang Feng's relatively poor acting skills can actually deceive Zhou Zilong, which surprised Su Mo and others. Zhou Zilong had no time to observe Wang Feng's acting skills. Seeing the fighter plane right above him, he couldn't get on it. It was like a beautiful woman lying naked on the bed, but he couldn't get up. He was very anxious. "You drive the cars over here." Because he was anxious to get into the fighter plane, Zhou Zilong was no longer in a hurry to kill Wang Feng and the others, and quickly turned around and shouted to his men. "Drive." The policemen who had secretly held their pistols in their hands were stunned. What's going on? Do you want to save people first? But now that your hair has spoken, just drive the car over quickly and stop talking nonsense. So, all 6 police cars followed Zhu Silong's instructions and drove under the small fighter plane. You two, park your cars side by side here. Zhu Silong commanded loudly. Then you get out of the car, and everyone else, together, lift his car up and put it on the roof of these 2 cars. Only then did the police realize that they were not rushing to save people, but were trying to use their cars as a stepping stone because they couldn't get on the fighter plane. However, their police cars are all large SUVs. It is not easy for these more than 20 police officers to lift such a heavy car onto 2 other cars that are 2 meters high. Things. Wang Feng can do it with one hand, but obviously Wang Feng now does not have the Lei Feng spirit of helping others. So, Wang Feng and the 4 of them watched Zhu Silong directing the policemen and playing with car blocks while sweating profusely. The hard work paid off, and after almost half an hour of struggle, they finally successfully stacked one police car on top of the other 2 police cars. This time, after Zhu Silong jumped onto the roof of the top car, he was finally able to enter the small fighter plane. Damn it, if I had known better, I should have parked higher and exhausted these sons of bitches. Wang Feng secretly regretted that he parked the small fighter too low. However, at this time, Zhu Silong had already boarded the small fighter plane. But he did not enter the cab directly. Instead, he turned around and shouted to the policeman below who collapsed on the ground due to excessive exertion. You guys. Don't rest, now is not the time to rest. After hearing what Zhu Silong said, the policeman couldn't understand what he meant, so they all got up from the ground, and then secretly held the pistol that they had just put away in their hands again. Seeing that they were ready, Zhu Silong finally breathed a sigh of relief, then looked at Wang Feng below and asked loudly. Sir, do you know who owns this plane? Wang Feng didn't even raise his head and asked in a nonchalant tone. I don't know. Do you know? Whose plane does this belong to? Ha 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 ha. Perhaps feeling that victory was in sight, Zhu Silong laughed loudly. Of course I know the owner of this plane. He is the god of Duotian Mountain. As soon as Zhu Silong finished speaking, the policemen who heard the signal raised their guns almost at the same time and pulled the trigger on Wang Feng and the others. Because he knew that Wang Feng and the others might be very powerful, and since he shot at them, he had to kill them. Otherwise, they will definitely be retaliated against. Thinking of the bloody mess between those people's legs, these guys all tightened their anus. Every policeman, whether from the Mulia ethnic group or from other races, was desperately pulling the trigger of their pistol at this moment. Until they fired all the bullets in the pistol magazine and the gun made a gentle tap sound. But the next moment, after these people saw the situation in front of them clearly, they were all stunned. The expressions on their faces were quite wonderful, because Wang Feng and the 4 of them actually disappeared from their sight. However, where Wang Feng and the others were originally standing, there was no trace of any blood, which proved that their attack just now seemed to have no effect. Hi! Standing on the fighter plane, Zhu Silong, who expected to see 4 corpses like a hornet's nest, couldn't help but take a breath of air. Since he was the only one who hadn't shot before, he was also the one who watched the most carefully. He clearly saw that when the gunfire rang out, Wang Feng and the other 4 people seemed to have a look on their faces that seemed to be funny. Immediately afterwards, all 4 people disappeared. Zhu Silong, who was condescending, looked left and right, but could not find the 4 people. Are they ghosts? At this time, Zhu Silong suddenly remembered that when he was in charge of Zhu Sihu's job, the people who were thrown off the cliff by him cursed him at the moment they fell off the cliff. I won't let you go even if I'm a ghost. Zhu Silong suddenly felt a chill running down his body, and at this moment, Wang Feng's joking voice came from behind him. Mr. Police Officer, are you looking for us? Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 804. Zhu Silong was shocked when he heard the voice behind him. He turned around quickly, but was shocked to find that Wang Feng and the other four were all standing on the small fighter plane, sneering at him. "You guys." Zhu Silong jumped up and was about to ask them if they were human or ghosts, but then he saw their shadows on the small fighter plane. There are shadows, so they shouldn't be ghosts. Zhu Silong thought to himself. Mountain villages in remote areas like theirs often believe in ghosts and gods more. At least the mountain god of Duoshan Mountain they talked about before was not made up by them to deceive outsiders, but they themselves believed that such a mountain god existed. After knowing that Wang Feng and the others were not ghosts, but people, Zhu Silong calmed down. Since they are human, there is nothing to be afraid of. "How did you get up here?" Zhu Silong asked Wang Feng and the others while slowly moving his body towards the cockpit of the small fighter. He naturally wanted to enter the cockpit and grab the fighter first while Wang Feng and the others were not paying attention. As long as he took control of the fighter, the four people standing on the plane would be dead. He didn't need to do anything else, just drive the small fighter to the top of the cliff, and then turn the small fighter over directly, and these guys who didn't know how to live or die would fall off the cliff and go to see the mountain god of Duoshan Mountain. Zhu Silong thought he was doing it very secretly, but Wang Feng and the others had already seen through his mind. In terms of insidiousness and cunningness, Zhu Silong was still far behind Fang Cheng and the others whom Wang Feng and the others had met. Only in the environment of the end of the world can the dark side of human beings be exposed to the fullest. But none of Wang Feng and the others stopped him. Zhu Silong was too naive. This small fighter plane can't just sit in the cockpit. Although Zhu Silong didn't want to have a bald head like Zhu Sihu, he wanted to drive a small fighter plane with his small flat head. Humph. Let me say something to hit him, the length is not enough. At this time, Wang Feng suddenly turned around and looked at the winding mountain road below, with a smile on his face. "Ha ha! This guy is finally here." Su Mo and the others followed Wang Feng's gaze and saw a long convoy on the winding mountain road below. However, Su Mo, Lu Wanting and Zhang Xiu didn't have the sky eye, so they didn't know who was sitting in the car. But from Wang Feng's words, it was not difficult for them to guess that Gao's Hixing must be in this convoy. At this moment, Zhu Silong had come to the side of the cockpit, and then he entered the cockpit without any pause. "Ha ha ha! You idiots! Wait for death. Even if the King of Heaven comes, he can't save you." As soon as he sat in, Zhu Silong laughed wildly, his face full of pride. However, he soon found that he seemed to be happy too early. Zhu Silong, covered in cold sweat, stared blankly at the control panel of the fighter in front of him. The dense little bright spots made him dizzy. Where is the joystick of the plane? Where is it? Shouldn't the plane have a joystick? And who can tell me? This damn canopy, how should it be closed? Wang Feng sighed, then came to the side of the cab and asked with concern. "Mr. Officer, do you need help?" Then, as if he knew what Zhu Silong was thinking, Wang Feng stretched out his hand and pointed at the two red dots on the far left of the control panel. "Click that, and the hatch can be closed." Zhu Silong heard it, and regardless of whether it was true or false, he directly used his left and right index fingers to point at the red bright spot. However, the small fighter did not respond at all. "Alas! Mr. Officer, don't point with your fingers." Wang Feng shook his head and sighed. "Your fingers are so thick, can you point to such a small light spot?" "Of course not. You have to use a thinner one." Zhu Silong was stunned, and then looked at Wang Feng, as if to distinguish whether what he said was true or false. But soon, Zhu Silong understood that whether it was true or false, he had to try it himself. He had heard what Wang Feng said just now, and when he jumped into the cab, he had also hurriedly glanced down. Therefore, he naturally knew that his superiors might be here soon, and before they arrived, he had to kill all four of them. Because his actions just now had exposed his thoughts, and he had just falsely passed on orders, saying that his wishes were those of the police inspector. If Wang Feng and the others were still alive after the police inspector arrived, then, his troubles would be huge. Thinking of this, Zhu Silong no longer hesitated, stood up, and then, began to untie his belt. Huh? You are? Wang Feng was stunned and couldn't help asking. Huh? Didn't you say your fingers were too thick? Zhu Silong said indignantly. Yes. But what does this have to do with you unbuttoning your pants? Wang Feng looked at a loss. Ha 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 ha. A burst of laughter suddenly came, and Wang Feng turned around and saw that it was Zhang Xiu. Zhang Xiu pointed at Zhu Silong and laughed. Actually thinner than a finger? Can't you tell that you are so big, you are actually gifted? Ha 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 ha. I'm laughing so hard. After hearing Zhang Xiu's words, Wang Feng immediately understood and couldn't help but look at Zhu Silong with a strange look. You, the smallest thing is actually, where? None of your business. Zhu Silong had a look of anger on his face. Damn it, he had unintentionally exposed his biggest secret. Now he was finished. Of course it's none of my business. Wang Feng was furious. This fighter plane belongs to me. If you use that light spot, will I be able to fly this fighter plane in the future? Fart, this fighter plane was left to us by the ancestors of our Mulia tribe. The place where you got it is the holy land of our Mulia tribe. Everything in the holy land belongs to us Mulia. Zhu Silong shouted hysterically. Now he naturally understands that he probably thought wrong just now and did not use it to drive. That's right. Who has ever heard of someone using that place to fly fighter planes? What if the pilot is a woman? Even though he's a man, he's still so hard to control. Well. Wang Feng shook his head, and then, the hair on his back suddenly flew up, wrapped directly around Zhu Silong's neck, and pulled him out of the cab. As an ordinary person, Zhu Silong was no different from a 3-year-old child in front of Wang Feng. Maybe some parts of this guy's body are no different from those of a 3-year-old child. Crack. After Wang Feng pulled Zhu Silong out of the cab, he threw it directly to the ground. After Zhu Silong's body spun 720 degrees in the air, he fell heavily to the ground. Although Zhu Silong's physical fitness was not bad, the height of more than 5 meters still made him unable to get up for a while. The policemen below were all stunned when they saw the situation on the small fighter plane. They saw with their own eyes that Wang Feng raised his hair, then wrapped it around Zhu Silong's neck, lifted him up and threw him to the ground. Is this guy an octopus spirit? The policemen looked at each other in horror. An inexplicable fear arose in their hearts. No one had the intention to pay attention to Zhu Silong, who was still lying on the ground, unable to get up. Seeing that the police were all restrained, and Gauss Hixing and the others were about to arrive, Wang Feng simply sat on the small fighter plane, waiting for Gauss Hixing and the others to arrive. At this time, Zhu Sihu, who was as fat as a pig's head, walked towards Zhu Silong with his huge head on his head and slowly helped him up. Tch! Isn't it a scumbag? Zhu Sihu continued to use his vague dialect. Ask Zhu Silong. Shut up. Don't talk. My mind is a little confused right now and I don't have time to analyze what you are talking about. Zhu Silong struggled to stand up and stop Zhu Sihu from continuing to speak. This fall made Zhu Silong dizzy. If he hadn't been strong, he probably wouldn't be able to stand up now. Zhu Silong looked at the police, then at Wang Feng, and his head began to spin rapidly. I'm afraid it's too late to kill Wang Feng and the others. The police inspector will be arriving soon. So now, is there any way to bury the evidence under the cliff? Denial is definitely not possible. After all, other people have heard about what the Mulia tribe is doing here. It's just that others didn't expect them to be so bold and throw away so many people. Because their buses will be registered below every time they leave Dooshin Mountain. Even those who were not in the car at the time will be registered to prove that they have left Dooshin Mountain. If he disappears after that, naturally he will not be traced to the Mulia tribe. But this time it's troublesome. No external communication is allowed here. Josie Pianza, who left first, doesn't know that they have hit a brick wall this time. Of course, they will register normally according to the old rules. In other words, Wang Feng and the four of them have now left Dooshin Mountain with the bus. If this is seen by the police inspector, it will naturally lead to the previous missing people, the relationship with the Mulia tribe, plus the bones under the cliff. This time, the Mulia tribe may be facing a crisis. Zhu Silong still doesn't know that in the convoy that is coming, although there is a police inspector that he thought will come, this police inspector is at best a little shrimp in this convoy. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 805. Before Zhou Zilong could come up with any solution, the roar of the car engine had already arrived. Huzi. Hurry back to the village and tell everyone what happened here, and let them prepare to defend the village behind closed doors. We may be in trouble. When Zhou Zilong heard the sound of the car engine, his face suddenly changed. He knew that the things here should not be covered up. He could only let Zhou Zihu run back to the village quickly to remind the people in the village and let them be prepared. By the way, you carry Bio Z on your back and take him back with you. Just after Zhou Zilong finished speaking, he suddenly remembered that Zhou Zihu was slurring his words now. If he waited for him to explain everything clearly, it seemed a bit difficult. Maybe by then their village would have been taken down, so he added. The Bio Z mentioned by Zhou Zilong was named Josie Bio. Like Zhou Zihu, he was also Zhou Zilong's uncle. This Josie Bio was also with Zhou Zihu, but this guy was unlucky and not as lucky as Zhou Zihu. After being taken care of by Zhang Xiu, Zhu Si Bio is now no longer qualified to enter the palace. But fortunately, at least he has not been hit on the head, so at least he can speak clearly, and he is also a participant in this incident from beginning to end, so he can naturally explain the matter clearly. Zhu Si who suddenly woke up when he heard Zhu Si Long's words, so he turned around and ran to Zhu Si Bio, carried him on his back, and ran towards his own village. Old Shark. You go with me. Zhu Si Long seemed to still feel uneasy when he saw the two leave, so he said to a policeman who came with him. This policeman is also a member of the Mulia tribe, named Zhu Si Shark, because the surname Zhu Si is a big surname in the Mulia tribe. So many people are surnamed Zhu Si. Zhu Si Shark heard Zhu Si Long's words, and did not hesitate, and turned around and chased Zhu Si Hu and Zhu Si Bio. At this time, Zhou Zilong seemed to be relieved. He turned around and saw Wang Feng and the others looking at him, so he forced a smile and said, I asked them to go to the village to investigate and collect evidence to see if there are any eyewitnesses. Oh. I see. Wang Feng nodded gently without expressing any opinion. Of course, he knew that these people were going back to inform, but this was no big deal for Wang Feng. On the contrary, if he was going to destroy the village of the Mulia tribe in a while, he really needed to be prepared in advance. No matter how cruel people are, they should still cherish their own people. So, after getting the news here, the Mulia village will at least hide the old, weak, women and children. For these people, Wang Feng didn't want to kill them all. It's hard to say about the old ones. It is very likely that they played the role of Zhou Zihu when they were young before, but at least the children should not have participated in it. After destroying the Mulia stronghold, we will discuss the arrangements for those people later. Anyway, they will not be allowed to stay in this place any longer. Less than 2 minutes after Zhou Zihu and the others left, a convoy drove in front of them. When he saw that the first person to get off the co-pilot seat of the first car was not the police inspector he thought, but the governor of their country, Zhezilong, was stunned for a moment. What's going on? Why did the governor come here? What made Zhezilong even more upset was that after the governor got off the car, he didn't care about anyone, but turned around immediately, opened the back door, and then half bowed his body, as if waiting for someone to get off the car. The governor had to open the door for him personally, and he had to half bow his body. Although this person has not shown up yet, Zhezilong already knows who this person is. Gauss Hixing, the Supreme Speaker of the Free Alliance Parliament. Besides him, who else can make their governor show this attitude? Zhezilong's eyes shot out a look of despair. If it was just the police inspector, maybe there was room for recovery. But now, the Archon and the Supreme Speaker of the Free Alliance have come at the same time, and their Mulia village is already in great danger. With the terrain of their Mulia village, and if the things under the cliff are not exposed, even if the Archon comes, the Republic of Kali will not take large-scale military action against their village. At most, they will hand over a few people as scapegoats and put all the sins on them. Then the matter will probably be left unresolved. But now, seeing Gauss Hixing, Zhezilong feels that this matter is serious. The Republic of Kali will not really tear its face to deal with them, but the Free Alliance. Everyone knows that among all the countries on the mother planet, the Free Alliance is the real power holder. If Gauss Hixing speaks, let alone their Mulia village, even the entire Republic of Kali will definitely not be able to resist. Zhezilong's mouth twitched, and he looked back at the people in the Mulia village. He wanted to send a few more people back to tell his people what happened here. But Zhezilong knew that this was impossible. Even the governor had come out. At this time, he had no power to issue orders. Moreover, when Gauss Hixing got off the car, Zhezilong finally understood what kind of great god the Mulia village had offended this time. Ha 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 ha. Gauss Hixing burst into laughter as soon as he got off the car. Then he walked quickly towards Wang Feng, and none of the guards around him followed him to protect him closely. This at least shows one thing, that is, in front of those four seemingly insignificant people, Gauss Hixing was not on guard at all. And they must be quite familiar with each other, because Gauss Hixing did not express anything to his guards at all, and those guards consciously stopped where they were. What Zhezilong didn't know was that no matter whether Gauss Hixing was wary of Wang Feng or not, he would not bring guards in front of Wang Feng. Because bringing more people is useless. Moreover, now that Gauss Hixing has been strengthened by Wang Feng, based on his personal combat power alone, if the people in the Hope Base are not counted, he can be regarded as the absolute #1 master of the mother planet. Old Gao. You are slow enough. If you are a little later, I will not wait for you and solve it myself. After patting Gauss Hixing on the shoulder, Wang Feng said with a smile. Wang. You can't blame me for this. This Duotian mountain is a natural magnetic field, and communication and navigation are all out of order here. Hearing Wang Feng's words, Gauss Hixing said helplessly. So I can only take a plane to the town below, and then take a car up. We don't have a pilot who dares to rely on manual driving to fly the plane up. Speaking of this, Gauss Hixing looked at the small fighter plane still hovering in the air with envy. Alas! We don't have such a good thing that is not affected by magnetic interference. Lao Gao. Seeing Gauss Hixing looking at his small fighter plane reluctantly, Wang Feng shook his head. You'd better not think about it. It's not that I'm stingy, but you can't find anyone who can fly the sky. Even in our place, only I can drive it. Ah! Gauss Hixing shook his head helplessly, then looked at Wang Feng and asked seriously. Wang, what you just showed me is this below? Yes. Wang Feng nodded, then looked at the people brought by Gauss Hixing, and saw that among those guards, there were several people whose strength he had improved before, so he said to Gauss Hixing. Let's go. I'll take you down to have a look. Gauss Hixing looked back at the governor of the Republic of Kali, nodded and said, "Okay. Take him down to have a look too." Wang Feng looked at the governor and roughly guessed his identity. After all, the matter happened here, and Gao's Hixing, the great god, came in person. Of course, the head of this country must show up. Seeing Wang Feng's gaze, Gao's Hixing quickly introduced him. "Wang. This is the governor of the Republic of Cali, his name is Park Yishan. Nice to meet you, Mr. Wang." When Park Yishan heard Gao's Hixing introduce him to Wang Feng, he quickly stepped forward, bowed deeply, then stood up, stretched out a hand to Wang Feng, and said with a smile on his face, "Mr. Wang is busy with many things, but he can still help our country eradicate the cancer. I am really grateful. Horing, for life." Wang Feng was stunned, then shook hands with Park Yishan, and said with a strange look, "This is nothing, but, your name, does express the dream of most men." Hearing Wang Feng's words, Park Yishan was stunned, and obviously didn't quite understand what Wang Feng meant. On the contrary, Lu Wanting and Zhang Xia blushed because they were holding back their laughter. Lu Wanting even stretched out her hand and pinched Wang Feng's waist fiercely, but Wang Feng's skin was thick and fleshy, so he didn't feel anything. Okay. Let's go down." Wang Feng knew that he had said the wrong thing, because he was almost out of touch with normal society, so he became more casual in his speech, saying whatever he thought in his heart. Also, although they had been traveling together for a long time, most of the time, they were the four of them together, and basically had no communication with others. Fortunately, this Park Yishan didn't understand what Wang Feng meant, so it wasn't too embarrassing. Otherwise, no matter how strong he was, it would be a bit too much to say this about a national leader in front of his people. By the way, let's go down quickly. Gao's Hixing certainly heard what Wang Feng meant, but he didn't dare to laugh, and he hurriedly changed the subject. "You, maintain order up there, no one can leave, wait until we come back and talk." Then, Wang Feng jumped off the fighter plane first, then stopped it on the ground and picked up Gao's Hixing and Park Yishan. As for the others, although they also wanted to go up, they didn't dare to recommend themselves without Wang Feng or Gao's Hixing's order. They could only stand there and watch the small fighter plane dive and disappear under the cliff. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 806. Seeing the fighter plane disappear, Zhu Silong sat on the ground. He was sure that the Mulia village was completely finished this time. After such a big battle, Gao's Hixing even came. Especially, Gao's Hixing went down with Park Yishan. Although Zhu Silong and the people of Mulia village had never gone down to the bottom of the cliff to see. But even if he thought about it, Zhu Silong could imagine what the situation was like below. The pile of bones was like hell. Zhu Silong sat on the ground blankly and looked at the people who stayed above. Among these people, Zhu Silong saw many familiar faces. The Commander-in-Chief of the Mother Planet Free Alliance Guard, the Chairman of the Free Alliance Global Security Committee, the Free Alliance Global Chief Inspector, and other bigwigs were as quiet as rabbits at this time, standing there and waiting honestly. As for the policemen he brought before, they had already stayed aside and didn't even dare to breathe. Who dares to move? Didn't you see that even their national chief police inspector was standing there as honestly as a primary school student who was punished? Maybe because since Wang Feng and his team went down, Zhu Silong and his team have been living in great fear, so they feel that this period of time seems to be particularly long. This is the theory of relativity proposed by a famous scientist. When you spend a good night with a top-notch beauty, time will pass very quickly. And when you are tortured by the husband of this beauty with a knife, you will feel that every second is very long. Now Zhu Silong is in this mood. he doesn't know what kind of end he and his people will get in the end. Death is not terrible, what is terrible, is the time waiting for death to come. Just when Zhu Silong and his team felt that it seemed like a century had passed, the small fighter plane finally appeared above the cliff again. The first person to jump off the fighter plane was Park Yishan, the governor of this country. In fact, Gau's Hixing wanted to go down once, mainly to let Park Yishan see the situation below with his own eyes. Although Gau's Hixing had seen the situation below through the video that Wang Feng had sent him before. However, after all, this is in Park Yishan's country, even though their free alliance is very powerful on the mother planet. But after all, it's not good to attack the people of this country without even saying hello. After Park Yishan jumped off the small fighter, his legs were weak and he couldn't stand up, and fell to the ground with a plop. The ruling officials of the Republic of Cali saw that their ruling officer actually sat on the ground, and hurried forward to help him. While looking at each other, no one knew what happened. Gau's Hixing stood on the small fighter, his face was livid, and he glared at Zhu Silong and others on the ground. Although he had seen the video before, the impact of the video and the real scene was definitely not at the same level. He originally just wanted Park Yishan to take a look at the bottom, because he didn't send the video that Wang Feng sent to him to Park Yishan. After all, the scene in the video was too shocking. Once it was spread out, it would probably cause an uproar. Although there are many countries on the mother planet, 2 of the 3 giants of the human race died after the mother planet fled the original galaxy. The last one, Fuxi, also left the mother planet, and Pangu, the leader of the human race at that time, was also driven away by the Supreme Council. Since then, the members of the Supreme Council have naturally controlled the entire mother planet. Therefore, for more than 20,000 years on the mother planet, the Free Alliance Parliament has always been exercising the highest power. However, because of this, there has been no large-scale conflict between countries on the mother planet. Generally, it is a small local war. If it is a little bigger, the Free Alliance will intervene. Therefore, it can be said that on the mother planet, humans rarely die in wars. Since there is no large-scale war, there will naturally be no large-scale deaths of humans. And the cliff below may be the first place in the entire mother planet where so many wronged souls appear. Even Wang Feng, who came from the end of the world, feels that it is a bit scary below, let alone people like Gau's Hixing and Park Yishan, who may have never really seen a few corpses in their lives. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker. What should we do? After a while, Park Yishan finally came to his senses. With the help of everyone, he turned around and looked at Gau's Hixing, who was still standing on the plane. The scene he saw before really scared him, and he also knew that this matter was no longer something he could decide. Since Gau's Hixing was here, he would make the decision. However, Park Yishan knew that no matter what kind of punishment the Mulia tribe would receive in the end, he, the governor, was destined to resign. Such a thing actually happened in his country, and it has been there for many years. No wonder there were reports of missing people before, and many of them had been to Duoshan Mountain. It was just that at that time they found that the missing people had records of leaving Duoshan Mountain, and Duoshan Mountain was the territory of the Mulia tribe. For this race, they didn't want to provoke it too much, especially the special situation of Duoshan Mountain, so Park Yishan didn't pay too much attention here. But now, I'm afraid he won't be able to bear the blame. As the head of state, he knew very well what kind of repercussions would be caused if everything under the cliff was revealed. I am afraid that even Gau's Hixing will be attacked by some public opinion, but after all, Gau's Hixing has served as the supreme speaker for so many years. It has long been entrenched, and it can be said that Gau's Hixing is not directly responsible for this incident. Even if it is found from the Freedom Alliance, the Global Security Council is mainly responsible for this incident. Not to mention him, the governor of the Republic of Cali, if such a sensational case occurs in his country, he cannot escape the blame no matter what. Old Lee. Have the troops assembled? After Gauss Hicksing heard Park Yishin's words, he did not answer directly. Instead, he turned to look at Li Lijun, the commander-in-chief of the Freedom Alliance Guards, and asked. Report to the speaker. The entire escort team has been assembled. Now Duocean Mountain has been surrounded by our people. As long as you give the order, the army will reach our current location within 10 minutes. Li Lijun said loudly after saluting Gauss Hicksing on the fighter plane. It's over. After hearing the conversation between the two, Zhu Silong seemed to have lost all his strength in an instant and lay on the ground like a dead dog. He knew that this was the verdict of Gauss Hicksing, the supreme speaker of the Freedom Alliance, on their Mulia tribe. On the home planet, the Freedom Alliance Guards rarely take action. Once they take action, it at least means that this matter is probably not a trivial matter. Although it is a guard in name, Zhu Silong, as a policeman, knows very well that the Freedom Alliance Guard is definitely the most powerful army on the planet. They do not belong to any country, they only obey the orders of the Free Alliance, and everyone has the power of life and death. Generally speaking, they only send out a small team of more than a dozen people each time. But now, Zhu Silong clearly heard what the commander-in-chief of the escort team said, the entire army has been assembled. Zhu Silong didn't know the exact number of people in the escort team, but he was sure that it was definitely not less than 50,000. 50,000 of the most elite warriors on the mother planet are now all gathered at the foot of Duocean Mountain. Could this be just to deal with these dozens of miscellaneous fish? Good. Gauss Hicksing shouted, then waved his hand. Come up them all. Yes. The commander-in-chief of the escort stood at attention again, and then nodded to a general sitting in a military vehicle behind him. The general quickly raised the communicator that he had already held in his hand and issued an order to it. This military vehicle is much more advanced than the Hurricane that Wang Feng and the others drove before. However, in this Duocean Mountain, its communication still cannot be transmitted very far. Fortunately, Li Lijun had already expected this, so he left a military vehicle every other section along the way to communicate with the mountain. Wang. I'm afraid, I will still trouble you today. Gauss Hicksing turned to Wang Feng again. Although we can solve it ourselves, it may take a longer time. I'm afraid that as time goes by, there will be other changes. No problem. Just ask your escort to throw away all their heavy weapons and just come up and take the people. Wang Feng nodded and said, he had no intention of staying out of the matter. But, if I play forward, how many people will die? I can't control it. Just go ahead and do this. When Gauss Hicksing heard Wang Feng's words, he nodded directly without any hesitation, and even had a stern look on his face. Even if we add up all the people in the Mulia clan, there are not as many wronged souls as there are below. Very good. Then I have no worries. Wang Feng also nodded, but then he turned around and looked at the cliff where they just went down, and a gleam of light suddenly flashed in his eyes. I suddenly felt, these people cannot be solved by killing. What? Gauss Hicksing was stunned for a moment, then looked at Wang Feng. In his impression, although Wang Feng was very young, this guy was definitely not a merciful master. Together. Wang Feng did not explain, but pointed to his fighter plane and asked. Certainly. Gauss Hicksing quickly jumped into the small fighter plane again, preparing to see how Wang Feng would treat those executioners with bloody hands. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 807. Wang Feng waited until Gauss Hicksing entered the small fighter plane, but did not wait for the soldiers of the escort team. Anyway, for a small Mulia village, his fighter plane alone was enough. Although the human race on the mother planet has developed for more than 20,000 years, their technology is still much worse than that of the ancient human race. Because many of the technologies of the ancient human race are developed around hair as the core. In other words, although they inherited the technology of the ancient human race on the mother planet, there is actually not much left for them to use. Including the space battleship that is still on the mother planet, basically no one can control it freely. Because too many functions on it need to be controlled by hair, and the humans on the mother planet have basically lost this most important ability for the human race. And if it is modified, such a complicated line, if it really needs to be modified, it is better to directly build a space battleship suitable for them to drive with their hands. In particular, the first generation of the Parliament once said very clearly that it is best for the human race to never come into contact with space. Therefore, the humans on the mother planet have at most launched some satellites to monitor the legendary powerful enemy. As for the others, the humans on the mother planet did not develop them at all, and of course they did not dominate the entire galaxy directly as they did in the beginning. It is precisely because they have lost their ambitions and the entire mother planet is in a unified environment, so the weapons that can be used for war on the mother planet are indeed pitiful and can be regarded as quite backward. Compared with Wang Feng and his planet, the weapons system on the mother planet has been advanced for many years, but most of them are used for defense. For example, the large-scale illusion used by the mother planet before, which can cover the entire planet, can be said to have surpassed Wang Feng and his Atlantis by many streets. However, the weakness of this technology is also obvious, that is, it does not seem to have much effect on attacking the enemy. Wang Feng once asked whether it is possible to attack the enemy while the illusion continues. As a result, the answer he got was no. Maintaining the illusion requires a lot of energy, and once weapons are used, the illusion will be eliminated. In other words, the powerful technology of the mother planet is actually just a protective color for itself, and it doesn't even have the function of a shield. For this, Wang Feng was powerless to complain. The human race on the mother planet was too weak. When facing the enemy, they only knew to hide and never thought of resisting. However, this can't be blamed entirely on them. If they are to blame, I'm afraid the members of the first generation of Parliament will bear a lot of responsibility. It is their propaganda about the cosmic ghost and the rules they set that make the cosmic ghost, in the eyes of the mother planet human race, now an absolutely invincible existence. Coupled with the hawks among the ancient human race, the three emperors of the human race fell or left one after another, causing the last bit of courage among the human race to disappear. The environment changes people. The cosmic ghost is like a thin iron chain tying an elephant to the mother planet human race. When the elephant was young, it could not break free from the iron chain that was very tough for it at the time. So when it grows up, it still thinks so it will never try to break free from the iron chain that is completely vulnerable to it now. This is an inherent thinking mode that almost all creatures have. This is also the difference between ordinary people and geniuses. For the same thing, some people know that I can't do it at a glance, while others will directly think, what should I do? People who think about what I should do may not succeed, but those who think I can't do it will definitely fail, because they don't even have the courage to try. Everyone in ancient times knew that treason and usurpation of the throne would lead to the punishment of 9 clans and it would be impossible to succeed. But every founding emperor would temporarily forget this and start to promote it after he became emperor. Action may not equal success, but waiting is definitely equal to failure. But Wang Feng obviously didn't want to correct the mistakes of those people on the mother planet. Because this thought, which has been passed down for more than 20,000 years, has been deeply rooted in their hearts. If they want to change it, there must be a doomsday fire on the mother planet, so that the people on the mother planet can grow up rapidly in that kind of desperate and fearful environment. However, let alone Wang Feng can't send out the kind of doomsday fire of the Kali tribe, even if he can't do it. Although Wang Feng has killed many lives, whether it is zombies or mutant beasts, or even living humans, there are not a few who died in his hands. But this does not mean that Wang Feng can kill wantonly. No matter what environment he is in, Wang Feng will be in awe of life. He will not kill without a bottom line just for killing. In that case, he seems to be no different from zombies. At least, like Joselong and Josehuo, they kill for money, not just for killing. However, it is obvious that Wang Feng will not accept their reasons for killing. Therefore, for them, Wang Feng has no pity in his heart. When Wang Feng flew a small fighter plane to the front of the Mulia tribe's village, he couldn't help but take a breath of air. Even Gao's Hixing frowned. He finally understood why the Mulia tribe had not been so honest before, but Pu Yishan, the consul, turned a blind eye to them. Mulia's mountain village is located in a mountain. This mountain is very strange. It is not connected to other mountain peaks. It is so lonely among the mountains. And this mountain doesn't look very big, probably about the same size as Ganlin County. There is only one road into the village, and it is a 2-kilometer long iron chain bridge. There are about 10 thick iron chains in total, which form the only road to the outside world for this Mulia village. It seems that if the sky fire really happens on the mother planet, then this place will be even worse than the Black Dragon City. A natural chasm suitable for survival. The chain bridge is covered with wooden planks, connecting the two mountains. Below is a bottomless abyss. Whenever the mountain wind blows, the entire bridge will sway from side to side, like a swing. In such a dangerous situation, not to mention launching an attack on Mulia's stronghold from here, I'm afraid not many people would dare to walk directly past it. Haha. This place is safer than the Hope base I built in Atlantis. Wang Feng couldn't help but smile softly when he saw the terrain of Mulia village. For him, no matter how steep the Mulia village was, it was impossible to stop him. Even without the use of fighter planes, Wang Feng was confident that he could conquer this village by himself. For humans who can fly, no natural barriers exist. Seeing Wang Feng continue to fly the fighter plane into Mulia village, Gao's Hixing did not speak. Anyway, it was Wang Feng who originally discovered what happened here, and now he is the pioneer, so Gao's Hixing just irresponsibly left everything to Wang Feng to handle. And the people in Mulia village naturally discovered the arrival of this fighter plane. Because Ju Sihu brought Ju Sibiao and Ju Sisha back to report the news before, the Mulia village is now on guard against the outside world. Moreover, they are also preparing to organize people to help. In the past, they had had disputes with outsiders because of this kind of thing, but as long as the people in their village took action, it would basically be settled. Because they had the upper hand, Pu Yishan didn't want to confront them head-on. The most he could do was delay the matter for a while, and finally let it go. This time, after Josehuo and the others came back to report the news, the current leader of the Mulia clan, Josie Shabai, still didn't take it to heart. Instead, he was furious because he saw his own people's limbs broken. After being the local emperor in Mulia village for so many years, even Pu Yishan and Josie Shabai didn't take him seriously. Moreover, Josehu and the others did not see the arrival of Gao's Hixing and others, so they still thought that this incident would pass quickly like before. However, it was obvious that Josie Shabai was no longer planning to let go of the 4 guys who dared to hit anyone so easily. Especially when I heard that the person who hurt someone was actually a young and beautiful girl. Josie Shabai wouldn't mind bringing this pungent thorny rose back to the village to play with for a while, and then offer it to the mountain god. As for the method, of course it was simple. They injured the tribesmen of Mulia village. According to the rules of Mulia village, they naturally had to go to the village and apologize to their gods in person. As long as you enter the village, no matter how capable you are, you will never get out alive in this life. Josie Shabai has decided that the 2 girls must see the majesty of all the men in their Mulia village. Don't serve them all well. Snort. In Mulia, even if they want to die, it is a luxury. However, they had just gathered their manpower, and before they had time to set off, they discovered that a fighter plane had flown into their village. What's going on? There is actually a plane that dares to fly in Duotian Mountain? Snort. Josie Shabai frowned, then shouted loudly. Where's the man? Beat him down. For such a fighter plane, Josishibai had no scruples at all, although he also knew that a fighter plane that could fly in Duoshin Mountain had some background. However, this is their territory after all. They can come here if they want, but want to leave? No way. As for the aftermath, as long as he insists that he has never seen it, how dare they come in to check? Following Josishibai's order, the two guys immediately turned around and ran into the room. When they came out again, they each had a rocket launcher on their shoulders. Then, without any hesitation, they fired at Wang Feng's small fighter plane. Rockets. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 808. Seeing two rockets flying towards him, Gau's Hixing couldn't help but become furious. After all, his identity is displayed there, and no matter where he goes, he is always cheered and supported. That is to say, it was with Wang Feng that he would put down his arrogance and not bring any bodyguards or guards. Unexpectedly, the person from the Mulia village below actually fired a rocket at him without saying a word. This was the first time in Gau's Hixing's life that he was attacked by a rocket. Although he also knew that now that he was in Wang Feng's fighter plane, these two rockets could not hurt him at all, but he still felt that it was a huge loss of face. This is the home planet. Logically speaking, this is his territory. On his own territory, someone actually dares to attack him. Is this a rebellion? However, Gau's Hixing also knew that he was in the fighter plane now, and the people below could not see him at all. If they knew that such a great god like him was in this plane, the Josishibai below would not dare to touch him at all. No matter how arrogant Josishibai is, no matter how arrogant he is, no matter how much he thinks he is the Earth Emperor, he still knows the power of Gau's Hixing on his home planet. Once Gau's Hixing is really defeated, not to mention their Mulia village, even the Republic of Kali will probably cease to exist. However, the ignorant are fearless, so the leader of Mulia village obviously does not know yet that he is going further and further down the road of seeking death. However, it was obviously impossible for the two rockets flying towards the small fighter plane to fulfill the wish of Jusi Sandwall. The small fighter plane piloted by Wang Feng just turned sideways slightly to avoid the attacks of these two rockets. In fact, Wang Feng can even easily deflect these two rockets back. Under the current situation where a group of people have gathered in Mulia village, these two rockets can just do their maximum damage. Show your strength. However, Wang Feng already had an idea in his mind, so he did not do so. He did not even want to directly kill anyone here. Are you blind? You're quite good at masturbating by hiding in your room. If a real plane is given to you, how can you miss a plane that big? Seeing Wang Feng dodge two rockets, Josishibai couldn't help but became furious. He stared at the small fighter plane and cursed. Continue. We must bring it down. No one is allowed to stay in the sky above Mulia. You know, although the fighter plane Wang Feng piloted was a small fighter plane, it was a space fighter plane after all. Compared with the space battleship, it seemed to be quite small. But in the eyes of those on the ground, it was absolutely impossible to use a small fighter plane. Come and call me. For such a large fighter plane, and at such a close distance, the mistake of those two rockets seems to be somewhat unjustifiable. As for Gau's Hixing on the fighter plane, he was certainly not surprised that the rocket missed. If Wang Feng was really hit by these two rockets, Gau's Hixing would probably not be able to find a place to cry. The guy who he feared like a tiger and looked up to like a god was actually hit by two rockets? Does that mean your vision is too bad? But now Gau's Hixing's face is still extremely dark, because the Josie sand wall below is shouting very loudly, and because Wang Feng wants to hear what those guys below will say, he does not turn on the sound insulation system of the fighter plane. As a result, Josishibai's voice reached Gau's Hixing's ears word for word. No one is allowed to stay. Gauss Hicksing snorted coldly. Wang. How are you going to deal with these people? Are you just going to teach them a lesson? It seemed that Gauss Hicksing was a little worried now. After all, Wang Feng had said before that he did not want to use killing to solve the problems here. Therefore, Gauss Hicksing wondered if Wang Feng was soft-hearted because there were so many people here. Lao Gao. Don't worry. Wang Feng said without looking back. Those who can survive after experiencing my world, even if they are not bad people, are at least not soft-hearted. In that kind of world, it's impossible for the virgin bitch to survive until now. At least. She won't appear among us. Wang Feng is right, you can be a good person, but you will never be a bad person. Of course there will be soft-heartedness, but it depends on whether the person is worthy of your soft-heartedness. Just like the cottage in front of you, there may be old people and children inside, but the old people may have come here the same way as Zhezalong and Zhezahua. And those children, after being nurtured in this village, should follow the path of Zhezahua and the others in the future. Wang Feng had connected the tablet given to him by Gauss Hicksing to the small fighter plane. A casual check revealed that no one from the Mulia tribe would leave the village, at least not within the confines of Duoshan Mountain. In other words, they have always supported themselves in this way on their home planet. The piles of bones under the cliff are silently accusing them of their crimes. Wang Feng will never be soft-hearted towards such a race. Seeing a few more people running into the room amidst Josie Shabai's scolding, Wang Feng twitched the corner of his mouth with a sneer. In his opinion, this game no longer needs to continue. The few guys who ran in just ran out, and before they had time to launch the rocket launchers on their shoulders, they suddenly discovered that the plane they had targeted suddenly shot countless beams of light downwards, covering them all. After being enveloped by this silent beam of light, the Mulia clan members all collapsed to the ground and lost the ability to move. But they were not unconscious and could still feel everything happening around them. What kind of weapon is this? Seeing the scene below, Gauss Hicksing couldn't help but be surprised. This kind of light beam was silent and seemed harmless to humans and animals, but it seemed quite powerful. Plunder ray. Wang Feng said calmly. This kind of weapon should have been developed by the human Emperor Fuxi after he left his home planet by referring to the attack methods of the cosmic ghost. However, after all, he does not have a cosmic ghost as a research object, so, this kind of weapon cannot really achieve the effect of absorbing the vitality of living creatures. Wang Feng sighed. Oh. I think this should be what Third Master is planning to use to deal with the ghosts of the universe. He wants to use his methods to control others, so that those guys who feed on our human race can also taste the kind of life that is worse than death. Taste. But it's a pity that this weapon is far from achieving the effect that Mr. San wants, so it has never been really used. This is the first time to use it. I don't think Third Master could have imagined that the weapon he developed as the patron saint of the human race would be used for the first time to attack humans. This is really a kind of irony. Maybe after the Third Master finds out, he will kill me in anger. Then, what can this plundering ray do now? Gauss Hicksing didn't know much about Fuxi. After all, it had been too long and he didn't have time to get to know a historical figure in depth. What he was concerned about now was what happened to the people below. The plundering ray can only plunder a small part of the life energy now, well. It can also be said to be physical strength. Wang Feng hesitated for a moment and organized his words a little, trying to make Gauss Hicksing easier to understand. In fact, this plundering ray is quite easy to understand for those in Atlantis. The plundering ray can only absorb life energy, and only the life energy that the living body is currently rich in. Therefore, after being attacked by the plundering ray, all the physical strength of those people was plundered by the plundering ray. So they are now exhausted, so of course they cannot move. But after replenishing their physical strength, such as eating a meal, drinking some milk, making steamed buns or something, they can regain their physical strength again. Even if you don't do anything and let them lie like this, they will be able to slowly regain their strength after 4 or 5 hours. This is fundamentally different from the devouring of the cosmic ghost. The cosmic ghost devours not only life energy, but also human life force. Even Wang Feng's Xianyuan sword can't do this. Just like when Wang Feng first received the apocalypse, he had to kill the living body before he could start to absorb the life energy in it. On the other hand, devourers like Number 7 and Li Yingning have basically the same skills as Cosmic Ghost. This is of course not to say that Xianyuan is more powerful than Fuxi, but because of his own environment. Xianyuan, as a Cosmic Ghost, created the devourer in the camp of the Cosmic Ghost. But Fuxi was in the human battleship, using his own whims to imitate the attack methods of the Cosmic Ghost. This is equivalent to asking two people to make weapons at the same time. One of them gets whatever he wants, and the other person gets a rubber band. The guy who has everything can even make a nuclear bomb, and the guy who only has a rubber band wants to make a slingshot to hit people, so he has to find a way to get a tree branch back. However, the slingshot made by Fuxi is just right for Wang Feng now. He didn't want to kill these people directly, as that would be too cheap for them. After knocking down all these people, Wang Feng continued to fly the fighter plane in a large circle in Mulia's mountain stronghold, attacking everyone he saw, no matter who they were, with plundering rays. Anyway, this plundering ray, apart from incapacitating people, actually does no harm to the human body. It is just enough for him to implement the following plan. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 809. The population of the Mulia tribe is not large, probably only tens of thousands of people in total, so Wang Feng did not spend too much effort to knock them all down with the plundering ray. It is worth mentioning that the situation that Wang Feng had imagined before, that after knowing that their village might be attacked, the Mulia tribe would first hide the old, weak, women and children among their tribesmen in a safe place, did not happen. It may be that the Mulia village has never been attacked, so the Mulia tribe leader, Comrade Josishabai, did not feel a sense of crisis. He just gathered some strong men and prepared to take them out to seek justice with the outsiders who injured their tribesmen. But now, he is afraid that it is too late to regret. After feeling the life energy fluctuations on the bodies of the people below and confirming that they have all been taken care of by the plundering ray, Wang Feng looked at the guards who had arrived on the opposite side of the chain bridge and flew towards them in a fighter plane. After arriving in front of them, Wang Feng opened the cockpit of the fighter plane and jumped out first to stop the guards who were heading towards the chain bridge. You don't have to go over. It's already done, just wait here. Wang Feng said to them. The guards looked at each other, not knowing what Wang Feng meant. Although they also saw that the Mulia people had been dealt with by Wang Feng, they admired Wang Feng's strength in their hearts. But how did you bring them all here by yourself? Moreover, because Gao's Hixing and Wang Feng had a harmonious relationship, all the guards were now strong men above the enhancer level. Although they couldn't compare with the survivors of the Hope Base, at least they didn't take the chain bridge in front of them seriously. No one who could become a soldier of the Free Alliance Guard was afraid of heights, and each of them was more or less arrogant. Fortunately, these guys also knew Wang Feng's identity, so they didn't dare to disobey Wang Feng's orders. Especially Gao's Hixing, who was with Wang Feng, did not have any objection at this time, so they stopped. Even several members of the escort team who had already boarded the iron chain bridge and were about to cross also retreated. Gao's Hixing did not even leave the cockpit, but sat there and watched quietly. In fact, Gao's Hixing was secretly glad in his heart now. Fortunately he had a sharp eye and saw that Wang Feng was a person who must not be provoked. Therefore, After failing to pretend to be powerful when meeting Wang Feng for the first time, Gau's Hixing immediately changed his attitude. Seeing that Wang Feng had just relied on his own strength to silently and quietly deal with the entire Mulia village, a race that had caused headaches for the Republic of Kali for many years. Gau's Hixing knew that if Wang Feng had wanted to kill them directly at the beginning, it would probably not be more difficult than dealing with this Mulia village. So Gau's Hixing undoubtedly made the most correct choice in his life at the beginning. But now Gau's Hixing also has some doubts in his heart. The people were all knocked down, but Wang Feng clearly said that they would slowly recover if they just lie like this for a few hours. Could it be that Wang Feng came here just to scare these guys? Let them know that they can kill them at any time. In order to make them not dare to do anything reckless in the future, or at least restrain themselves. In this case, Gau's Hixing probably feels that he must persuade Wang Feng. This mountain village has now become a cancer on the Republic of Kali and even on the mother planet. It is definitely not a good thing to indulge them like this. Especially, people who are used to doing this kind of thing, want them to change their careers. This is basically a foolish dream. Let alone other things, just say that these guys, what else can they do besides fraud and robbery? The Mulia tribe has no school, and their education of children is their own words and deeds. These children grew up in this environment since childhood, and naturally think that what they do is right, because this is how humans can survive. No ruler would want such a person to appear in his territory. Even one of them is a hidden danger, let alone a race. However, Gau's Hixing did not plan to persuade Wang Feng now. One reason is that he did not know what Wang Feng was planning, and the other reason was that they were in front of the guards. Gau's Hixing did not want to persuade Wang Feng in front of so many people. One reason was that he was afraid that Wang Feng would feel embarrassed. The other most important thing was that if Wang Feng did not accept it, he would lose face even more. However, the next move made Gau's Hixing and the guards all stagnant. In fact, Wang Feng did not do anything, but did something that was very common to him. Wang Feng took off directly from the fighter plane and flew directly to the Mulia village by relying on his own body. Then after landing, he collected all the Mulia people who could not move but looked at Wang Feng flying over in horror into his Xianyuan space. After the Xianyuan sword was fully awakened, it could now directly collect living things into space regardless of the strength of the life fluctuations. It's just that there is no light in his Xianyuan space. Of course, Wang Feng didn't want to bring all the people of Mulia into the Xianyuan space and give them to Willow and the mutant bees as food. Although Willow and the mutant bees haven't had real blood and flesh for a long time, and these people deserve to die. However, Wang Feng still couldn't do it directly to feed living people. After all, this is also his own kind, with a common language. Wang Feng felt that those who can communicate cannot be used as food. Think about it, you caught a chicken and were about to kill it for meat, and the chicken suddenly said to you, "Don't kill me. I will lay eggs. If you don't eat me, I will lay eggs for you to eat. If you eat me, I will shit in your mouth." Lao Huan felt that your appetite must not be very good at this time. Moreover, Willow and the mutant bees were planted in the palace of the Hope Empire when the Hope Empire was established. Whether it is Xianyuan space or the plantation on the Yanhuang, after all, it is not suitable for survival on the planet. In addition, he had to stay on the mother planet for at least a year, so Wang Feng temporarily pulled the Willow and the mutant bees out for some fresh air. However, before preparing to enter the ancient secret realm, Wang Feng would take them away again and would not leave them here. This mother planet should now be the last planet for humans, and Wang Feng did not want to destroy it. Any alien species may cause damage to the environment or an ecological crisis. Wang Feng knew this, especially since the Willow and the bees were mutants. If he was there, he could still control them. Once he left, if they went crazy, it was estimated that no one on this mother planet could control them. After Wang Feng put all the people into the Xianyuan space, he carefully turned around again. After finding that there were indeed no humans, he flew to the other side of the bridge again and joined the members of the escort team. "Please move aside." Wang Feng waved his hand. Hearing Wang Feng's words, the people who were in a daze woke up, stepped back, and gave up the venue. In their hearts, Wang Feng is probably like a god now. Flying in the air is fine, flying so much, okay. That's fine. But what kind of a ghost is it that you can make so many people disappear with a wave of your hand? A magician? Gau's Hixing was also sweating coldly. He found that he could not see through Wang Feng now. He intuitively felt that Wang Feng might not have used all his strength yet, and he must have a trump card. Anyway, Gau's Hixing has made up his mind now. He must not provoke Wang Feng in the future. Even if he makes him eat shit, Gau's Hixing will find a few people to let them eat shit. If you want to ask him why he doesn't eat it, well, you will know if you try it yourself. It doesn't seem to taste very good. After seeing that the space given up by the guards was almost enough, Wang Feng waved his hand and released all the people who had just been taken in. Fortunately, the Mulia village has been operating here for a long time, so the place where Wang Feng and his team are now, although not the Mulia village, is still well developed by the Mulia tribe. Apart from other things, it is not a problem to accommodate at least hundreds of thousands of people, not to mention that the guards and the entire Mulia tribe only have a little over 100,000 people. I'll leave these people to you first, and you can carefully identify them one by one. Wang Feng said directly to Li Lijun, who was quite good at observing words and expressions. He didn't even look at Gau's Hixing, staring at Wang Feng and waiting for his next words. Among them, there should be foreigners who were captured, and some who didn't participate in the things on the cliff. Wang Feng said seriously. You have to check carefully, and keep all those who have participated in the things on the cliff, whether they are commanders or actors, regardless of gender or age. As for the others, you can do it yourself, I'm not interested. After speaking, Wang Feng waved his hand, signaling Li Lijun to do it immediately. Understood. Li Lijun nodded, then turned and left. Because Wang Feng was not his superior, he did not salute Wang Feng. Wang, what do you want to do with those people? Gau's Hixing finally couldn't help asking. To guard the tomb. Wang Feng smiled at Gau's Hixing. Doomsday Special Forces. Author, Huanjing Chengzhu. Chapter 810. Guarding the Grave. Gau's Hixing was stunned, and then immediately thought of the white bones under the cliff. Although Gau's Hixing hated the people of the Mulia tribe, he still shuddered when he thought that some of them would be left alive in the valley made of white bones. And Wang Feng's smile at this time also turned into a devilish smile in Gau's Hixing's eyes. For identifying these Mulia people, the guard team seemed quite efficient. After all, they had advanced technology, and any lies could not escape the polygraph. Maybe some people can control their emotions and make lies sound like the truth, but not all people can do so. Moreover, they were originally from the same village, and they were quite familiar with each other. Moreover, the Mulia village was originally a closed village. So in this village, almost no one had any secrets. So, after questioning almost all the Mulia people, the results finally came out. After getting the results, the last bit of pity in Wang Feng's heart disappeared without a trace. All those old people, regardless of gender, had participated in the massacre of outsiders. Even an old woman who was born with polio and had difficulty in moving was in charge of training the girls who were captured in the village. At least 3 digits of girls were killed by her because they were stubborn and unwilling to obey these girls who abused them. And among the children, they also began to be influenced by them from an early age and took the lead. Even the children of 12 or 13 years old, most of them personally participated in humiliating those girls or killing those outsiders. There is even a rule among them that anyone over 12 years old, even if they are adults, needs to participate in their hunting activities. Therefore, among these Mulia people, regardless of gender, age, except for those who are still in their cradles or 3 or 4-year-old children, all of them have participated in the massacre of outsiders. The difference is only the number of people killed. Wang Feng looked at the statistics, and then looked at the Mulia people who had lost their physical strength but were still conscious. He found that not only the eyes of the adults of the Mulia people were full of hatred and resentment towards them. Even the children were not afraid at all, and they looked at the guards around them with murderous eyes. Their eyes could no longer be described as the eyes of beasts, but the eyes of demons. What should I do? Gau's Hixing came behind Wang Feng and asked softly. He also saw the number, but after seeing this number, he felt that the current situation was very tricky. The total number of the Mulia people was less than 60,000, but there were only more than 200 children aged 4 and below, which was completely unstained with blood. Because in Mulia, as long as the children reached the age of 5, whether boys or girls, they would be asked to take a knife and stab the captured prisoners a few times to cultivate their courage. Therefore, if Wang Feng said so, then, I am afraid that all people in the Mulia tribe who are 5 years old or above will be included in the list of tomb guards by Wang Feng. In this way, the Mulia tribe is basically exterminated. Of course, Gau's Hixing is definitely not a pity for this race. He just thinks that if this matter is spread, it will definitely cause an uproar. But no matter how powerful their free alliance is, it is impossible to cover up the extinction of a race, especially since this is a famous scenic spot. What should I do? Wang Feng heard Gau's Hixing's words and looked back at him. When he saw the worry in his eyes, Wang Feng smiled and then pointed to those who were rescued from the Mulia village. Among these people, there are men and women. The Mulia tribe has never had the habit of dressing captives. Although after Wang Feng released them, the guards had taken off their clothes and put them on them. But they seemed to have no reaction to these at all. This scene made Wang Feng feel extremely familiar, because the expressions of these people were completely numb. Their rationality had long collapsed, and their souls had long been closed. Everything in the outside world seemed to have nothing to do with them anymore. Wang Feng had seen the same scene before. That was the Black Wolf camp in the end of the world on Atlantis, the gathering place of demons that feed on humans. When Wang Feng broke through the camp and rescued a group of people, their reactions and expressions were no different from the people in front of him. There was no difference. Lao Gao. Do you know? Wang Feng pointed at these people and said. I have seen such a group of people before. That was on our planet Atlantis, and it was after the end of the world, when zombies were rampant. Gau's Hixing was stunned. He had heard Wang Feng tell him about the situation in Atlantis, but Wang Feng did not tell him everything, so he was not very clear about the Black Wolf camp. It was in a place called the Black Wolf camp. Wang Feng raised his head, as if he wanted to search for the Atlantis planet in the sky, which he thought should no longer exist in his heart. The light of memories shone in his eyes. Immediately afterwards, Wang Feng told Gau's Hixing everything that happened at the Black Wolf camp. Wang Feng did not lower his voice, so many of the guards also heard Wang Feng's words, and various expressions appeared on their faces from time to time. That's it? I finally killed them all and buried them together. On the tombstone, I only wrote one line, this is a group of human beings who are more miserable than zombies. After talking about the Black Wolf camp, Wang Feng sighed, looked at the poor people and said. Originally, I thought that although the experiences of those people were miserable, it was also because they were unlucky, because they encountered the apocalypse. That shitty apocalypse may be the main reason why they got this end. But, now I finally understand that what makes them become like that is not the end of the world, but us humans ourselves. On your home planet, which is full of peace and tranquility, isn't there a scene that I thought would only happen in the end of the world? Can you imagine how their relatives, their parents, will feel when they see them like this? Furthermore, I can tell you with certainty that although these people are still alive now, Their hearts are dead and their souls have been permanently sealed, closed to this cruel world. For them, death should be the real relief and the real road to happiness. Because there will be no happiness in their future lives. What they experienced will become a nightmare in their lives and torment them forever. As for what caused all this, what do you think I should do? Let them apologize to these people and their parents and say they won't do it again. But Gauss Hicksing hesitated for a moment, and finally said, there are many children here. Those 3 or 4 years old, you can make your own arrangements. As for the other children, have you seen the look in their eyes? Wang Feng directly interrupted Gauss Hicksing. Their hearts are full of hatred for us now. I don't suggest you use any kind of love to move them. Love can be felt towards people and even animals, because they can feel it, but for devils, love will only become a means for them to attack you. I know that you may be afraid that after the people on the home planet know these things, they will use public opinion to attack you. When the time comes, I'm afraid there will be many sanctimonious people who will jump out to attack you. But don't worry, if you are worried about this matter, just leave it to me. You plan to use force against them? Gauss Hicksing asked with some anxiety. He seemed to have a premonition that because of Wang Feng's action, the mother planet would change. Force. Wang Feng smiled. No. I'm going to reason with them. After saying this, Wang Feng walked towards the Mulia people, and then took them into his own space again. However, the people Wang Feng took away were all the Mulia people over 10 years old. Finally, Wang Feng looked at the remaining children and said to Gauss Hicksing, you need to find a place to lock these people up first. As for those 3 or 4 years old, you can take care of it yourself. Then, Wang Feng jumped onto the small fighter plane again, piloted the fighter plane, and flew towards the cliff. After arriving again in the valley where bones and bone meal were accumulated, Wang Feng directly released all the Mulia tribesmen in Xianyuan space. After that, Wang Feng recorded the scene in the valley, and then left a camera to monitor the valley, and then left this eerie place. After returning to the Iron Chain Bridge, Wang Feng discovered that the escort team members had begun to go to Mulia village to clean up and collect evidence. Lao Gao. Release the entire process regarding the Mulia tribe, including the scene in the valley and the results of my treatment of the Mulia tribe. Wang Feng turned to Gauss Hicksing and said, no need to hide anything, just let me see what kind of evaluation these great and sacred humans on the home planet will make on this matter.